Bon voyage, Paul.
Bone
Welcome to
Voyage to you too, Brian. Bone
welcome
Voyage.
to episode three's review of Skeleton Crew on Disney Plus. Um, Interesting week, would you say, for the series?
I enjoy it. Yeah, to me, there's not been a weak episode yet. I've really enjoyed it so far. What I took from this episode and what I've put into a review in writing that I've sent into Fanta Tracks is just how many links there are back to previous Star Wars episodes, particularly in this episode. Um, you got all sorts of nods to Obi-Wan Kenobi deactivating the tractor beam. You've got that with Jod distracting the two jailers when they're breaking out of the jail. There's droids in there that we haven't seen for a while. Yeah, it feels like Star Wars, and that's what a Star Wars show should feel like. And that's where I always struggled with the Acolyte.
Yeah.
Uh, it just doesn't
Let's
feel like Star
kick
Wars.
off then and have a little look at some screen grabs I've taken from the episodes as we chat about it. It's got some kind of context. And we started off on Atatin, which was kind of our first clear look at the wider city that all
Yeah,
these kids are growing up in. Um, we've kind of had a journey through the streets, but this is kind of like an overview. And it's very much feels a little bit like a more elegant old school Coruscant with the types of towers and buildings and structures. And I'm going to presume that's some kind of government building on the horizon there.
it's the most Earth-like planet that we've had, really, isn't it? And I think that's what a few people are struggling with, but I think that's done on purpose. It's meant to make it more relatable, particularly with the kids as well. Yeah, I've got no issues with that. I think it's quite cool.
Jonathan's only seen the episode one of Skeleton Crew so far. It's not clicking for him. Um, Mr. Newbold doesn't think we know the name of the character Jude Law is playing as yet. And Phil Parker, he's convinced that the whole plot's going to end up being whether Jude Law's character decides to be a bad guy or goes after the kids to find the lost planet and the treasure that Atten is reportedly supposed to hold. Now, we didn't
Yeah.
speak about this in our review in the first two episodes, but there was an interesting mural in Fern's house wall that has callbacks to various things from Star Wars cartoons. It kind of feels like when they've had these kind of murals, and it was kind of seen in Ahsoka, and it basically has all the aliens, um, as in whatever alien Neil's family are, um, in it as well, along with the humanoid characters as well. Um, some kind of classic scene. So something's happened to form this world. It feels like there's more to Atatin than we realise. And obviously, the parents of the kids have all gathered because their kids are missing. Apart from Neil's dad. Neil's dad didn't care. He didn't turn up.
He's looking after the little ones.
No.
They're currently watching the holiday special.
Yeah. Boba Fett cartoon.
It's
Uh,
great.
and the droid just barges straight into the house. Doesn't knock or anything. Doesn't ring a doorbell. Just walks straight in. And that's deemed to be normal. And basically tells them that the supervisor is not going to provide any kind of help because they've gone beyond the barrier. So tough luck. And that's the evil droid, the security droid. I've got the feeling that we're going to find out that the supervisor's a droid himself.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
I think the big sort of MacGuffin in this is all about why the planet has got this barrier around it.
yeah,
Um, it's as much about not letting people off the planet as it is letting people in, I suspect.
yeah. It's a bad protocol droid, says Mr. Evil. All droids are bad, but obviously, if a droid just walked into my house, whew, telling you. Uh, but yeah, it's very much a Wizard of Oz. Who is the supervisor? Why does he never get named other than the supervisor? Why can nobody seem to meet with him? Why does he make these decisions? Anything beyond the barrier, and there's no contact, nothing. Why have they cut themselves off? Um, and we pretty much learn that they've been cut off pretty much since Republic times. So they've never known the love and embrace of Supreme Chancellor Palpatine or the wonderful life they could have lived underneath the peaceful democratic rule of the first galactic empire. Uh, but
I'm sure they'll get further opportunities. He
yeah,
likes to make it, a return appearance every now and then.
uh, there's a great point from Phil. The father could be Wilbur Hood, and the planet has been there uh, with him along with the ice cream maker. So he ended up after best friend. Now,
That's brilliant. Yeah, he does feature him, doesn't he? Yeah, yeah.
it definitely appears that they've cut themselves off and they've been cut off for more than a generation, at least. Um, the droids are kind of sinisterly in control a little bit. They pop up everywhere.
Yeah.
Um, and the one thing that hasn't been speculated on by anyone, I don't think, was nobody told Wim's dad that he'd gone out to the woods or specifically gone to this place where that ship was. But immediately, that's where Wim's dad headed.
Probably got a tracker on him, hasn't
Almost as if he knew that that was there and that's where he could be.
he? He's got a tracker. It's a simple device on his mobile phone.
Mm,
Definitely.
don't know. I'm suspicious. Anyway, the kids are breaking out of prison over in the pirate planet, and we get a little bit of forced ability exhibited by John Daniel Wood, which we'll keep calling him as we don't know his real name. Um, as he sort of masterminds their escape. We still don't know if he's a Jedi. I don't think he's a Jedi. I think he's someone with force abilities.
I think he's a Jedi.
Yeah.
Mm.
There's also a comment placed in this scene about KB having Jedi abilities because she became aware that there was a droid coming around the corner. And I'm going to come back to that later in this review because I think it's important. But anyway, they escape despite Neil doing his best attempts to make them get captured, and they head back in one of that little, uh, I don't know what you call it, shuttlecraft back
Yeah.
to the Onyx Cinder. Um, despite Neil being irritating his irritating self. And they get back on board and they cause a bit of fuss about the fact that they've left the droid behind. Would you go back for a droid, Paul?
I know somebody who wouldn't.
Yeah. But yeah, so poor Jod is forced into um, going back for the droid by them asking him uncomfortable questions about Jedi principles and what a Jedi would do. And he buckles under their pressure and he heads back and he finds SM-33. But he kind of gets caught rescuing the droid by one of his old crewmates who refers to him as Captain. Is it Captain Soloco? I forget his name.
Captain
Soloco.
Silvo, isn't it? Yeah, Captain
Silvo.
Silvo.
Captain Silvo. Which you weren't convinced it was Jude Law.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've not even picked up on that. That's ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's confirmed now. It's confirmed now. That's an interesting one. I hadn't heard this one. Chris Davis heard fancy that they're children of younglings that escaped the Jedi Temple. Very possible. That's quite an interesting one.
That's cool.
I will come back to that comment, Chris, later in the show. uh, um, so he escapes with SM-33, and they're all kicking their feet, waiting for him to come back. He comes back with a droid, and he helps them escape the planet, which includes them getting free from the fuel line that's kind of tying them down. And
Well,
after that, we get our first sort of real interaction between Jod and SM-33, who's not happy with a stowaway on board, Paul. Do you think they're familiar with each other?
well, I was going to say when they were first approaching the Onyx, the look on Jude Law's face seemed to infer that he recognized the ship.
Yeah.
I've got a feeling that he's had many an adventure with SM-33 and that the droid's probably had its memory erased somewhere along the line.
Or he just had the helmet on, he
Um,
never recognised the voice.
that's all right, all right. That's but yeah, I'm pretty convinced that that's gonna be part of the story at some point.
Okay. Nick Frost thinks they are. Okay. So Jod makes some food. Neil gets hungry. So he
Yeah.
gives the kids some food because he's a nice guy. And whilst they're eating, he goes a little bit of exploring. And he has a very interesting scene, I thought, with
Yeah.
SM33, where SM pretty much says, I don't like you. And he says, I don't like you either. Uh,
But there's also some repetitive wording from SM33 that makes it look like he's slightly malfunctioning.
can't say I know an Atatin. That's what SM33 said as well. Neil makes friends with a rat. These are important plot points. Uh, it sums up the kind of person Neil is. And the kids start to realise everyone's reacting to what they consider to be dinner money. And everybody thinks it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So they start realising maybe there is something about their planet Ata and it's maybe not so normal. Um, and it's interesting. What is Ata's
Perhaps
secret?
it'll turn out that Jod's real purpose is as a bureau de change, and it's just basically a currency exchange rate that's really good outside of the of Atatin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kids go to sleep, as all good kids should do. Apart from KB, who's got her eyes on Jod. She doesn't
Yeah.
trust him. And Jod pretty much confronts her on that. And this then leads to them flying away. So they fly away to this new planet where Jod's so-called friend is supposed to be. And as soon as they arrive at that planet, we get this moment where KB becomes wide awake. Now, my working theory now is that KB is force sensitive. So back on the planet when she saw the droid coming, it was because she was exhibiting the force sensitivity in the same way that Jordan Nui is. When they arrive on the planet, she becomes wide awake because she's got the same force sensitivity as Jordan Nui has. Her parents referred to her having a disease or an illness. Is it the fact that they're hiding the fact that she's got the force?
I suspect it might be more to do with the headgear that she's wearing.
Well, I started thinking, is the headgear there as some way to counteract and explain her certain strange behaviours or unknown knowledge? Oh, it's just this gadget on her head that's helping her out rather than her.
I thought that might explain how she could sense the droid around the corner, and how she woke up when it was when the ship had landed, almost like the equivalent of like a Samsung mobile phone in the future kind of thing, or the past. Um,
I just
yeah,
think the fact that her and Jod are butting heads, I think there's more to it. And I think this might be, as Chris suggested, the fan theory that they could all be younglings. Maybe this is a planet
I
hidden
did
away
quite
because
like
they're
that.
Jedi.
Yeah, I quite like
Quite like that idea. And
that.
this is them just starting to exhibit some of those things.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It would be quite a nice plot twist.
yeah. So they end up on some astronomical moon. I don't think it gets named, but anyway.
No, I don't think
Basically,
it
they're
did.
on a stage with the volume, is basically where they're at.
Yeah, yeah.
um, and he takes them to see his friend Kim, who refers to him as being Crimson Jack, the space pirate from 1970s Star Wars comics.
Star Wars Weekly.
Yeah. And is that just another alias for him? His Walter Mitty
I think he's
personality, as Phil described him.
yeah, I
Um,
think he's got a bag full of them. Yeah.
yeah. So that was an interesting callback, but also I kind of felt it devalues the character of Crimson Jack as well, which I kind of loved. But yeah, well, we'll see how it plays out. But then they go into this astronomical building, a telescope, basically.
It's an
Where,
observatory, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's um, that calculates the star maps, which I would kind of think is quite a clever thing to have in Star Wars. It should have
yeah.
something like this.
Yeah.
And we get to meet our new character, Kim, a feckin' owl. It's the only way to describe it. An owl with whiskers. Whoever designed this should be ashamed. That's not a Star Wars alien.
uh, I know what you mean.
That's just laziness, that is. Someone
Yeah,
said, you know who would be good at being in charge of the observatory? An owl.
yeah.
Oh
They
yeah,
need
let's do
somebody
that.
wise. Oh, a wise owl. Yeah.
Do you know when I thought when I saw this? Do you remember the
Well,
kids program, The Fimbles, with Roly Mole?
well,
If
I
you
I
don't, Google
thought
it.
of
Google Roly Mole. Don't blame me if something weird comes up because Google. But
I
yeah,
thought of Clash of the Titans and
yeah, just
Pupo or Popo,
yeah,
something
it's
like
just horrible. Anyway, it
that.
was a really good scene. Look of the
Yeah,
alien beside, um, and she tries to starts interrogating the kids and asking the kids questions about life on Atata, and so she can try and narrow it down where they are.
yeah.
Uh, to wit, to says it's not an alien. Uh, um, yeah, so they start narrowing it down, which to me is illogical because that means it's on a star map. So it's not a lost planet, it's just a planet that nobody's bothered going to.
Because it's so boring.
Yeah, there's Kevin suggesting it could have been a bipedal rabbit creature in any other colour but green. That's very true. But basically, in this episode, we've had a rat, an elephant, and an owl. I think the standards here are alien creations poor. Uh, but she starts talking about Atin being one of the lost Old Republic worlds, which was interesting, I thought.
Is that something that's come up in Star Wars lore in the past?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
No, not me. No, it's quite a nice idea though.
Yeah. And the owl then notices on the backpack of Fern her class prefect badge, um, having symbols that apparently are of some significance.
Yeah, Atari.
Yeah. Chris is asking a great question here. Well, let's see if we can. Let's. Well, I'm gonna have to hide the ticker bar 'cause it's too long. Here we go. Let's bring it back up. Here we go. Here we go. Right. If they're still living in the Republic and they have no knowledge of what's happened to outside since their planet currently is all Republic, isn't it? So it could be a bank for the secret projects of Cypher Dias. Is he bankrolling Imperial projects in the First Order? Something like that has to be. They're completely unaware of the Empire. They're completely unaware of Palpatine and the wonders of his government. It appears that they've cut them for some reason in the uh, Old Republic, so pre-Galactic Empire. They decided to cut themselves off completely, hide themselves from the rest of the galaxy. Why is the big question. Was it because they foresaw what was coming with Palpatine? And that's this theory that they could all be Jedi younglings?
I think it could even be that all the treasures of the Empire are hidden on their planet on Atatin, much the same way as all the sort of like the data was hidden in Rogue One on that one specific planet, which eludes me at the moment. Um, but you know, it could be that basically Atatin is being used as some sort of vault.
Yeah. The kids make an interesting question. They all know that their parents work for the great work and they all analysts or coordinators or what, but none of them know what they're analysing or coordinating.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting as well that the kids didn't know that Alderaan had been destroyed.
Yeah. Kevin saying a rat, an elephant, and I'll go into a Disney Plus series. So yeah,
Punchline.
Using that information, she enters it in the computer and she gets coordinates. But she tries stalling because secretly she's phoned for the New Republic to come and arrest Crimson Jack.
That's what it was. Right.
But Jordan Wood kind of realizes what she's up to, so he takes the data stick with the coordinates and goes to Scarper. Kim the owl then has an interesting conversation with KB about if she's ever in trouble, she can come and speak to her, kind of thing. Which again comes back to KB's got a secret. KB's a Jedi, doesn't know she's a Jedi. She's got talent, I think.
Yeah.
Something going on there. They go back to their ship. I've included this just because Neil does a fake roll down the hill for attention. Had enough of that kid. Meanwhile, the New Republic are on their way. Jod gets into kind of a confrontation between SM-33 and the kids as to whether he's lying about being a Jedi and what his intentions are. But they basically come to a deal where he's going to help them escape back to their planet and potentially get a reward and go on his way. We'll see what happens there. Then next up, the two kids, Wim and Fern, take the guns and start shooting at the New Republic because they're bloodthirsty. Atatans want to destroy the New Republic.
That was quite a cute scene, though.
I think.
The look on Wim's
Look at the
face when
happiness in
he was.
Fern's face at killing people.
Well, yeah, I mean, she looks happy there, but when Wim gets offered his gun seat, brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. Phil's calling them the two worst pilots in the Republic. Yeah, definitely took their shooting skills from stormtroopers. They, Kevin, I don't like little people, kids, droids. The list keeps on growing. It does. We'll add Big Kev to it as well. Uh, KB gets her first big scene of success, I would say, in the series, and that she's in charge of running the hyperspace coordinates and getting them ready to escape. And Jod hits hyperspace. They're going to Aten, and the owl has reported them to the New Republic. And she tells the New Republic, "You won't believe where they're going." She just dubbed them in. So are the New Republic going to end up at Aten as well? Presumably, even though he's taken the data stick, she's still got the ability to recover it and give them the same coordinates. So,
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean,
Interesting plot.
it was hinted at that she wasn't going to give him the true answer to the search as well. So it might be that they're close by, but not actually sent to Atatin. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, looking
So what was
forward to
your
the next
thoughts
one.
on the episode?
I liked it. Yeah, I thought it was really good. Watched it a couple of times. It to me, it just feels more Star Wars-y than some of the things that we've had recently. Um, I thought season three of Mando was a patchy mess. And whilst they tried to throw in the odd battle droid here and there and Zeb and different things, and finally gave some decent thing for Grogu to do in the IG-88. Well, IG-12, not IG-88. That was all very cool, but generally it was a mess. Whereas this is flowing quite nicely so far. Um, And the fact that they're already talking about potentially a season two just goes to show you how well received it's been. I've not seen much negativity about it at all.
Initially, I couldn't give a hoot, but it's grown on me.
That's, I'm suspecting there's a Kim Parker somewhere. Apache mess. Oh,
It was an interesting episode. It's kind of moved it in a direction I wasn't necessarily expecting
hmm.
by bringing in the New Republic into it a little bit.
Yeah,
Don't know.
yeah.
Excuse me, what are you going? I've had a long day. Uh, you're getting boring now, Paul.
Sorry,
Uh,
Brian.
uh, they, um, it's interesting to me. They've brought the New Republic, whether they're going to continue that or whether they're just going to keep it Jod pirates at
Yeah, I
Tatooine.
think that more than anything, that's probably to connect it to all the other things that have happened in the so-called Mandoverse. All the different properties that I was surprised that it wasn't. Um, is the Chinese pilot that the Asian pilot that we've had
Yes,
in the
fresh,
various.
fresh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't him. But I think it's all designed to pull it all together. There's going to be elements from this, no doubt, that turn up in the Mando and Grogu film. I don't know, but no, I think it's really enjoyable. It does feel like it's something that could have been
Carson
just.
Teva.
You what? Sorry.
Carson Teva was the
That's it. Absolutely. Thank you,
name of
Mark.
the X-wing pilot.
Um, um, but yeah, I think this has got all the sort of all the qualities to it that it could have actually been happening alongside all these other things at the same time. So yeah, I think it's good.
The interesting thing for me is it's evolved massively, and exactly how the showrunners said it would be. It's not a kids' film. It's not a kids' TV series. You kind of forgotten by episode 3 that this is kids.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, it's
and
just
also
a good Star Wars story.
yeah, I mean they're obviously still very pivotal to what's going to happen, but um, Jod or whatever you want to call him, Crimson, whatever, he was more than happy to say that they were in charge on the ship. As soon as you get on the ship, he's the one that's giving all the orders. You two get in the guns, you get on the hyperdrive, you fly the ship. He's the one that's taking control. So he doesn't care what is said. He will go ahead and captain the ship. So it's very much becoming the Jod, Captain Silvo, Crimson Jack show, which is what it should always be anyway. The kids are almost secondary, but I have to say I am impressed with the kids because they're they're not cutesy, they're not jarring, they're good little
Apart from
actors.
Neil,
Apart from Neil, you try and get a blue elephant to act, right? It's not
just
easy.
don't have a blue elephant or an owl or a rat. Yeah. On that bombshell,
On that bombshell,
that's the week's Bon Voyage done. I think we'll be back
we'll say
next
bon
week with
voyage to bon.
yeah, we'll be back next week. Hopefully they'll be on Atata and we might find a little bit more about what's going on there.
Something dodgy.
Yeah. And of course, Bon Voyage is part of Good Morning Tatooine, your weekly recap of all the latest Star Wars news, live streaming every Sunday at 9 p.m. in the UK, 4 p.m. in New York, and released as its own video on Fat Tracks TV every Monday at 7 p.m.